Welcome to yet another edition of the Amazing Race Recap podcast from the UR Team Number Facebook group. My name is Michael Harmstone, and I am joined, as ever, by the only guy who didn't get creepy and ask Suki for nude pictures on the Amazing Race 24/7 Facebook group, Logan Saunders.
Good morning.
Told you I had something planned. Good morning, Ken.
Yes.
If you want to get in contact with us during the
Hey, good morning to you too.
You can say good morning, Canada, to me as well. Wake up, Canada! If you want to get in contact with us during the next hour, you can post comments on the video if you're watching on YouTube. There's a Q&A on the Google Plus page. You can also get your opinions in on the Facebook group, which is linked in the video description. Alternatively, if you tweet us, use the hashtag yatncast, which you can see whenever I speak. Any thoughts on the episode?
I thought it was slightly weaker than most of the episodes we've seen this season, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of bits where I'm moaning this episode, which isn't normal for Canada.
Yeah, I think it's funny because before we fully dive into this, when I was in elementary school, when I was in the second or third grade, we would receive a 40-page booklet that would be detailing all 10 provinces and 3 territories, and PEI's is just 1 or 2 pages, and all it basically states is that PEI is known for red soil, potatoes, and Anne of Green Gables, and those were pretty much the only 3 things that were mentioned for this whole episode, which I found to be quite hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know much about PEI before, and I still don't now, so it didn't do its job, really.
Yeah. Well, if you just look at a map, you can just see how tiny the island is. It's not surprising that you can't do too much there.
Yeah. But at least we're knocking off the final area next week, and then people can stop bitching on Facebook, can't they?
Yeah, although people still are complaining even when their province gets visited, because supposedly there's a proper way to visit each province on the Amazing Race, so there's no way to satisfy the casual viewer.
Well, I mean, I must give props to Compose Mark C on Twitter, who did guess that Anne of Green Gables would be the greeter.
Yeah, well, just think that the person who wrote Anne of Green Gables is Lynn Maud Montgomery, or whatever her name is, and her story was about a ginger, and John Montgomery is a ginger, so maybe there is a relation there. Maybe the author wrote about John's grandmother or actual mother, or wait, grandmother on his father's side. That's how it would make sense. I'll stick with that.
Do you really think that they wouldn't have mentioned it if he was actually related to them?
Maybe he's ashamed of that relation, or he didn't want to be too self-centered about it.
He'd be like, and my grandmother, Lisa Maud Montgomery, was this is her childhood home.
That would be like if Phil Hogan had Mary Ann Ginn as a pit stop greeter.
Yes, it would. So, we begin with the recap of last week's episode where Mickey and Pete, Hockey Heroes, Natalie and Megan, Suki and Jinder, and Fast Forward and Ryan and Rob were all mentioned in the previously on segment, which didn't really bode well for Elaine and Audrey. This is the last week I can do incomprehensible French.
Yeah, they were the only ones left out.
Which happened to Mickey and Pete.
Elaine and Audrey.
And Suki and Jinder departed the pit stop at 2:56 a.m. with Mickey and Pete at 3:32, Natalie and Megan at 3:33, Elaine and Audrey at 3:54, and Ryan and Rob with an impressive 6:13.
They always amaze me how far behind they are each time they finish a leg of the race.
Once the season's over,
I wait for the time where they finish more than 10 hours behind.
Yeah, once the season's over, I'm just going to calculate how far behind Natalie and Megan they are overall.
There should be a time differential that we add up all throughout the season, like 2 hours plus 4 hours plus 3 hours plus however many hours, and just add it all up. So there are a total of 25 hours behind them altogether at pit starts.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And teams will fly to the birthplace of Canada, Charlottetown, PEI, and they have a toonie for this leg of the race, not a spoonie.
Not a spoonie? No Team Canada sponsored coins from the Royal Canadian Mint?
I do laugh every time they introduce Natalie and Megan as hockey heroes.
Yeah, how did they do that was so heroic? Have they done anything for? Do they have some sort of charity organization that I don't know about? Did they defeat? Did they defeat Chaos in Final Fantasy One and save the world as the Warriors of Light? I'm curious what exactly they have accomplished that is oh so heroic, as if they are straight out of a superhero comic.
Yeah, especially when they did actually refer to them as hockey heroes in the same week as meeting Jim.
Yeah. Oh man, that's still gonna be uncomfortable to rewatch over the next few years.
Despite the fact that it was a great episode and one of my favorite episodes of Amazing Race for a long while.
Yeah. Well, there's a crying John,
Yeah, well,
crying Monty.
we've got crying Monty. We've got the all the awesomeness of a completely different style leg, which America would never ever go there again.
No, they. Well, look at how the American version treated the visit to the concentration camp. After that, they just went into self-induced vomiting and locals trolling Charla and Myrna.
Yeah,
Very weird transition for them.
and most importantly, a heap of kielbasa.
Yeah, indeed.
So Mickey and Pete were getting major winner VTs, in my opinion, this week, uh, with the phrase humble beginnings, as were Ryan and Rob, who brought up Ryan's cancer survival again. 2 weeks on the trot now.
Yeah. I liked how Suki said that she swears that the win last week was not a fluke, but she wants to prove that it's a streak. You think she would avoid the use of saying it was a streak after what the fast forward was last week?
It's yeah, it's an unintentional pun, I think.
Yes.
I was hoping that.
Well, they did expose themselves as serious contenders, as Monty would say.
Yeah, I was hoping that she'd say that it wasn't a souk, but you can't have everything.
Yeah, I like the team's reaction to seeing Ryan and Renee, because Allie Megan that make that comment about saying that they must have a horseshoe somewhere, and then on Twitter 2 weeks ago after the first non-elimination, Ryan and Rob posted a picture of an X-ray with actual horseshoes in their bodies.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason everyone was freaking out is because they know there's no more non-eliminations. Every time you come in last now, you are going home.
Yeah, shows you that we're in the final trilogy here. So yeah, once all the non-eliminations are gone, you can't really hold back anymore.
Yeah,
Any team that tries to make an alliance with another team is just downright foolish at this point.
Yeah, this isn't even the earliest that all the non-eliminations have been used. 7 is the earliest.
7?
Yeah. There's a season where all the non-eliminations and double-end legs finish at 7.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Don and Mary Jean would have been happy.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous one. Well, no, it was a ridiculously good season, but it was ridiculous when you look at it and think, 7? That means everyone is going home from 7th. What the hell?
You know what's ridiculous is that everyone had no trouble finding the clue in a hidden Impala compartment. The Chevrolet Impala, might I add.
Yeah, it looked like you just got in and it opened for you. You just had to notice it on the dashboard.
Yeah, I think Russell Hantz would have even been able to find that without any clues.
Well, he's the greatest player
ever. Or Tony.
Oh.
I opened the compartment. This is huge. I needed this. Oh.
You don't need to be able to speak Glamour to find this clue.
Well, you might need to speak to people in Canada to get you to understand them.
Well, yeah. And the next clue instructs them to drive to Red Shores Racetrack and search the paddock for their next clue.
Red Shores? You mean PEI has red soil?
I know. I mean,
is that what they're insinuating?
It's like they were going for stereotyping.
Yes. It's just a sea of red in PEI.
Something tells me that this will be the only PEI leg ever.
Yeah, I think they were struggling. It's very apparent they were struggling because it blended in with all the other Atlantic Canada legs that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, they were struggling a little bit, I think, weren't they? Because
Ready to do some
it
horse
didn't seem to be
racing?
the easiest thing ever to form a leg. But yeah, let's go find some horse to quote Audrey a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to do
Oh
that.
wow, my leg is bad. You were talking for a full 20 seconds, and then my message must have finally been relayed. We're not doing too well for leg today.
Yay! Thank you, Canada. Yeah, we really are lagging. Yay. Holy crap.
So, do you think
This is bad
John
lag too.
Monty would have been a gold medal horse racer, a human horse racer?
Well, I've seen his plaque in Calgary now, so he is officially an Olympian. I can confirm that.
Yes. He didn't compete in an offshoot of the Ginger Olympics that nobody pays attention to every 4 years.
It is pretty bad when I go to Calgary and then just go to Olympic Plaza and go, oh my god, John Monty's sign will be here. I need to take a picture.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're a
If
nerd.
only he had a bad pun accompanied by it.
You mean Alan Wu-esque? Because we love the Wu.
Or I should have said John Monty, giddy up baby, should have been his quote beside his name on the statue.
Yes.
On the plaque, I should say.
Instead of just saying John Montgomery.
Whoa, no lag.
Yay!
So, do you think, yeah, with the way that Suki wasn't too keen on the horse racing by the looks of it, we could have called her sulky, I think, at the beginning of that task.
Yeah, sulky and Jinder. I don't think anyone other than Mickey was really enjoying themselves.
Yeah, and guess what? Because it's a task, it means the Olympians, by default, have to explain it. Nobody else is ever allowed to narrate a task.
I must admit, having seen what happened at the pit stop finally, I'm so glad people are turning on the Olympians on the Facebook page. It's taken so long.
It's happening slowly, but yes. Yet again, they get to narrate the task.
I know I'm doing it skipping ahead, but still. Yeah, it's nice to see the Olympians finally get a little bit of unpopularity instead of being like 20 times as many votes as everyone else on the Fuel Your Favorite Team poll.
It is very refreshing to see. I'm sure they're nice people, but holy crap, they are boring and one-dimensional, and editing is very biased in their favor.
Yeah. So we found out Mickey was a track star in high school, thanks to this task, and also he's a blonde stallion, which was about the only entertaining bit of this task.
And I guess his track outfit was always pink, because him and Pete chose the pink outfit.
Almost certainly.
And I thought it was very fitting for a task to include blinders, because Ryan or Rob had to wear the blinders, and I thought that was a very fitting analogy for how they ran most of this season.
Well, a potential a better analogy would be just them being completely invisibility cloaked from Harry Potter.
And did you see the painful split that Megan suffered with Natalie pulling out too soon with the buggy there? How like Megan's it looked like her legs were ready to snap off in half with how split apart they were when Natalie's trying to start moving.
Yes, I saw that terrible crash, but that must be so hard.
Mm-hmm. That would have been pretty. That would have been very painful. I'm surprised they continued.
Yeah, they should have just taken the penalty.
And we now get to hear from the loneliest radio announcer I have ever seen in my life.
He just wanted
He,
friends.
it's yes, it's a stadium that is always empty, no crowd to be seen, and he just finally gets to commentate on the horse racing track for the first time in 10 years, and it's
Oh,
just 10 people. It's like commentating at some of the stadiums in North Korea. Nobody's in the audience, and there's just a few people on the field, and that's it.
yeah. I did feel bad for him having to pretend that they were horses.
Well, did you see how old the guy was? Maybe the producer said, "Oh yeah, there's horses. Oh yeah, there's a crowd there. You can't hear it because you don't have your hearing aids in, but everybody is cheering. You can
So
bank on that. You can
I've,
Scotia bank on that."
I've just seen my favourite comment ever on the Facebook page. Suki and Jinder are the worst human beings I've ever seen. At first with all the whining and begging, and now the unsportsmanlike gameplay. I wonder how it feels to be the most hated team ever.
Oh,
Yes,
casual fandom.
they are even worse than, let's say, oh, I don't know,
Flo,
Freddie and Kendra.
Freddie and
Or,
Kendra.
yeah, or any irredeemable villain ever.
Weaver family.
Yeah, the Weaver family. They are seriously worse than all of those teams put together. Because they are villains. Um, so once teams complete the track challenge, they must head to Province House, which is the actual birthplace of Canada, to find their next clue. And Mickey and Pete, or Blonde Stallion and Pete, complete the challenge in first, with Natalie and Megan in second, Ryan and Robin third, Suki and Jinder left in fourth, and LAJ left in last place.
Even with Pete trying to pull down Mickey's shorts with the rope thingy, whatever
Yeah,
that's called.
the rope
I don't
thing.
know what that's called in horse racing. The whip, or
Yeah, probably
yeah,
the whip.
yeah. Trying to pull Mickey shorts down with the whip. Now that is unsportsmanlike conduct.
Depends on whose
Only
style of
part
pulling them down.
Globetrotters are allowed to pull down other people's shorts down for comedic relief.
Exactly. Or, troll them into not going down a water slide. Uh,
Yes.
so once teams got to Province House, they had to interrogate a group of actors to find 10 descriptions of delegates in the original Confederation discussions and then identify them from the clues provided. And once all 10 are identified, Canada's first Prime Minister, John A. Macdonald, would give them their next clue, or at least an actor playing him.
Do you see what happened to poor Alain on the horse racing task? He was blindfolded and directed to hit every single post. He didn't learn to veer off to the right. It was just him hitting the whole post over and over and over again, at least 15 times it looked like on screen. Apparently he just wanted to get hit in the face repeatedly during the task.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether that sound effect when he ran over the bollards was actually put in post production or not, because that was an amazing sound if it wasn't.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm just amazed that he had no inclination to shift to the right. He wanted the inside track that badly, even though hitting the post probably reduced his speed.
Well,
If
I
video
think
games taught me anything, that is.
Yeah, I think at that point they were just dead last, and he just wanted to get it over with as quickly as is physically possible.
Yeah, I guess a
Because
stuntman
they were
isn't too
really
worried about paying too much.
no, they were really suffering in terms of speed. They were by far the slowest.
And so, yeah. Although poor Jinder looked like he was ready to about die during the process there.
Yeah, poor Jinder. I felt
Was
bad
it
for him.
what were the team nicknames that we heard? Was it
Uh,
just Blonde Stallion, Golden Girls,
yeah,
and Gleek Boys or something like that?
the Royal Blues, one of them was called.
Yeah, just because that means the commentator had absolutely no nickname for them. He
Pretty
just
much.
went by the color of their outfit.
He did not know who they were. Do you know who I think I am?
There should have been Jim Carrey there trying to say the Royal Blues, but then he would slowly have to change the name that he called.
The Royal Blues?
That's a liar, liar. Rest.
Yeah, the Royal Blues.
The Royal Blue Pen, the Royal Blues, yes, the Royal Blues from Arrested Development.
Okay, won't be their only reference. Uh, so Megan, Pete, Suki, Ryan, and Elaine had to complete the roadblock, with Suki and Ryan being forced to do it to get parity, which probably means we're not going to get a double roadblock on the
36
final roadblock.
Fathers of Canada?
Yeah, apparently so.
36 Fathers of Canada?
Apparently so.
No, somebody needs to get Maury Povich on the scene.
You are not the father.
You are not the father, Georges Yatncast.
Just get it down to 13. 10 from the province, 3 from the territories.
Yes.
You are the father of your respective places.
Hmm.
And Pete really, really sucked at this task originally.
He
did
likes
not
to
do
get
his
to know
job.
all of the women on the outside, and then he follows it up with getting to know the men on the inside. It is very much a way that he conducts his life, I think.
I am glad that we didn't have them saying, or Mickey saying, "Oh, I should have done this." That,
Do that for 4 rounds in a row.
yeah, that
I
would have
should
been
have
the
done this
fourth round.
task.
I'm better at this, but we alternate. Yeah, evidently, certain teams didn't have parity.
No. Which teams did you say are already have determined who's going to be doing the final roadblock?
Well, it was Suki and Ryan who were told to do it, so I'm assuming we're not going to have
Hmm.
a double roadblock on the final leg, because everyone is at 6-6 now, I think.
Hmm.
Although
Interesting.
I don't know how it's possible, given that Suki and Jinder and Elena and Aldre did actually, no, the roadblock was first, wasn't it, last week? Yeah, that's possible then.
Yeah.
And it was it in Winnipeg? I can't remember. No, it was last, wasn't it? So I don't know how
Yeah, I
Elena and
think
Aldre managed to not get balance or get balanced.
were they one of the teams that had to be forced to have someone do the roadblock?
No, it was Ryan and Rob for some reason.
Okay. Okay, so then Alan and Andre weren't under any restriction then, so that makes sense.
Yeah, everyone apparently on Wikipedia everyone's on 5-5 though.
Hmm.
That's a weird thing. That's what I don't get.
Unless they're doing it like Amazing Race All Stars fashion, where you have to be even or somewhat even just heading into the final 3 roadblocks of the season.
Yeah.
It's going that way.
Yeah, I don't know how it's possible, but you know, it's the least of my worries about this episode. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Um,
Hilarious thing regarding this roadblock. This is exactly my mother's episode. So 40 years later, she still falls asleep during a Canadian history lesson. I think many people probably fell asleep during this task because this was a boring roadblock to watch. Canadian history is probably the least exciting subject in school, and this is coming from a guy who knows who studies history a lot.
yeah, American history doesn't exist anyway, so Canadians have got to have their own. At least Canada has history.
Yeah.
Always makes me eye roll when the American American seasons do history tasks, because it's like our history began in the 1700s. Yeah, nice. So Suki managed to absolutely annihilate this task.
Well, yeah, she used a good string of mnemonics with what were some of them here? George Brown has a cane in gold or and
No, it's
gray. Uh,
it was jo- I've got a cousin called George and I'm Brown for George
right.
Brown.
Yes.
Um, I can't remember what the grey one was.
Yeah, and then well, we know what the Big Dicky one was. I
Well,
can't
yeah.
believe. Yeah, and then I'm surprised they allowed that to be kept in the episode.
Well,
I like how she just loses all focus when she references them.
if this was America, obviously they wouldn't keep it in there. But as I learned yesterday, I was listening to an interview with Daniel Radcliffe, and he said that his latest film, is called The F Word in Canada, and they were going to call it The F Word in America, but the MPAA said no, you can't do that because it's insinuating something. So they had to call it. They had to call it something else. I can't remember what it's called. All in or something. But it's called something
Hmm.
completely different in America than everywhere else in the world, purely because the MPAA is sucking.
That's like with Nas trying to release his album as the N word, but
Yeah.
then producers stopped that one. For some reason, I have James Bond written in my notes, but I have no idea what I was trying to reference. It's right when Suki's doing all of her mnemonics.
Well, Jaws is dead now, so
Yeah, Jaws is dead. The guy who said "Guns don't kill people, I kill people" from Happy Gilmore.
mm.
That's all I recognize him from because I haven't seen the early James Bond films with Jaws. So it's like, oh, if you told me it was the guy from Happy Gilmore, I would have known who that was.
um, yeah. Suzuki manages to leave after 6 attempts, with Ryan just right behind, setting the record for this with 2 attempts. Pete left after 5. Alain and Megan bring up the rear with 8 attempts each.
Yes. Apparently, Dr. Charles Tupper is not quite as well known as Oklahoma University football defensive end Charles Tapper.
You mean Tapper?
Tapper, yes, Charles Tapper from Oklahoma was not the founding father of Canada. It was this guy named Charles Tupper who nobody's heard of.
Yes, it was. So once they complete the roadblock, they had to. I know exactly what your reaction to this will be. Drive to a Petro Canada station. I know we
Where's
referenced him.
Les? Where's Les?
I was going to say, I know we referenced him. I think we referenced him earlier this season, actually. We definitely
Did they?
referenced him, and we have referenced him since we've been podcasting, definitely.
Yeah, is this their? Didn't they go to a gas station in the one of the first two episodes?
Yeah, I think it was when Suki and Jin tried to fill up.
Yeah. Yeah. When they try to fill up the electric car in Tofino. Yeah. So they finally get to see Les. They've been waiting 10 episodes. They go into the Petrocanda, and Les isn't even there.
Uh,
Oh,
how
what
disappointing.
a. Yeah, how disappointing. What do you think Les is doing now?
It's probably in a ditch somewhere.
He's in a ditch somewhere.
He's he's wasted all his money from giving out clues.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on a slightly. Well, wasn't he? Yeah, maybe. Because that was in the New Orleans leg that he was in, right, from Family Edition, and
Yeah,
that was filmed a couple weeks before Katrina. So maybe he did some volunteering with Katrina. Maybe he was a victim of it. Maybe it took him a long time to really recover from that incident. Had to rebuild his home, find his dog. Who knows what else? And yeah, maybe he moved more upstate. I don't know. Someone track down Les for us. We're very curious to know what he's up to. Maybe it'll be like Skinny Ryan, where he's turned into Fat Ryan from Survivor Pearl Islands.
has he? I've not seen him recently. Is he fat now?
Yeah, he's
Awesome.
supposed to be fat. Yes. Well, not like Weird Al music video. I'm fat, but He's probably gaining at least twice his natural body weight.
Okay, that is ridiculous. I'm just trying to Facebook him now, see if I can find him. There he is. I love being a stalker.
Not only was it a Petro-Canada fuel your car task, fuel your Olympian car task, but it was also teams had to pay with their American Express card.
Yeah.
Double sponsor, and the matter. That's taking out taking out two paychecks with one stone.
Yeah. The best thing is that when we walked past a Scotia Bank, my brother went, "Look, Amazing Race advert." I was like, "Yes, I know. They sponsor it."
Yeah, there was actually a
Quite courageous.
Scotiabank at the detour. Did you notice that as well? At the detour, when Ryan and Rob were running away from the detour, there is a oh no, it's at the province. It's at the province residence. Yeah, I have that written
Um,
down somewhere. At the province house, when done the roadblock, he runs out of the province house, and you see a Scotiabank very clearly framed in the rule of thirds across the street.
any guess what Natalie and Megan's lead on the Fuel Your Favourite Team poll is at the moment?
I'm gonna guess at least 30%.
It's about 80,000 votes. Wait, and there only seems to be about 200,000. So, yeah, it's about 40%.
40% lead. That's insane.
Yeah.
I haven't even
This
bothered
would be.
voting for that crap because it's like, what's the point of voting? How do you counter a team that's ahead by 80,000 votes if only 200,000 votes are cast total, and there's 10 other teams that are in the running?
Yeah, the best thing is, there's a disclaimer at the bottom saying the Amazing Race Canada team that wins Season 2 will not be eligible to win this poll. Why are you having them on there then?
Maybe they didn't win season 2, so they're guaranteed to win something, even though they've already won 6 prizes this season.
Yeah, I mean, they won some of the better prizes as well, but still. And once teams have filled up at the petrol station, they must drive to the childhood home of Lucy Maud Montgomery, the author of Anne of Green Gables, to find their next clue, which is also where Ryan and Rob find their speed bump.
Yep. The only worthwhile portion of this episode, for sure, is doing something inspired by Anne of Green Gables.
Is this speed bump the hardest one we've ever seen? I know I've said this before, but this seems a much harder speed bump than what we're used to.
Yes, it's safe to say that getting last on the last non-elimination should be worthy of the hardest speed bump of the season. And digging through that high amount of manure and searching through for 3 bottles of Madame Hooch from Harry Potter. I don't know how she fits in that bottle. Maybe she transfigures herself into dust, or I don't know what.
You
Or
mean
maybe it's just her ashes that were spread between the 3 bottles. But
Madam
yeah, that
Hooch
would
is
seem
crazy?
to do.
Because Hooch is
Yeah,
crazy.
Madam Hooch specified that she be buried in the middle of Prince Edward Island and have it split between 3 different bottles and a pile of manure. That is exactly what was in her will.
Um, I mean, the accordion task was reasonably difficult. It's one of the more difficult we've seen for a speed bump, but this one is upping the level a little bit, and it's what I want to see with a speed bump in a season.
And it was Ryan really got his comeuppance by saying that just saying that his YouTube show is so hot and it's the hottest crap that you can see online, and he gets the biggest pile of hot crap thrown at him as a punishment. I thought that was a really good roundabout way to. It was good poetic justice, I should say, for Ryan and Rob to have to do that.
I
It was
know I know I
very
whine
Aryan-esque of the producers to make that.
I know I whine so much about speed bumps being in the season and not wanting to see them ever again. But if every speed bump was as hard as this, I wouldn't mind. It certainly wouldn't be
And playing in a
pessimistic.
heaping pile of steaming crap is playing in a heaping pile of steaming crap. How did the tourism board approve of this episode, though? Between this and the muscle task, I mean, all the tourism board is saying is, come to Prince Edward Island. We smell worse than the soiled 2-year-old. Really, that's pretty much what we've learned from this episode that we didn't know before. Those were the only two new pieces of information, is that mussels smell terrible and they're everywhere in PEI, and people play in steaming piles of crap.
Yeah, this I mean, as much as you say that you really did not want to see the task with the delegates, I'd rather see the task with the delegates than that muscle task again. That was disgusting.
Well, not only that, but we've had so many mussel and fish tubs in between 2 seasons of Amazing Race Canada. We've already had it at this, what was it, the second episode of this season. We had to go through it,
Yeah.
and we saw it at least twice in the first season as well. I'm just getting sick of sort out these fish or properly clean this pile of fish. It's become way too common for Amazing Race Canada, and it's what makes those are the episodes that are by far the most dull. Even if former rocker trying to reobtain his glory days.
Yeah, but at least with the last fish task, we had Suki and Jinder adorably screwing up, so, it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, come on, it's Canada. We've not even had a maple syrup task yet.
Well, they had a maple syrup task, but it was in Hong Kong.
Well, not really a proper maple syrup task. Although
Hmm.
on the plane over, I was flicking through the in-flight magazine, and they did have a bottle of Jakeman's maple syrup. So I tweeted a picture of it to Suki and Jinder and asked them if they'd had
Oh,
them both flashbacks.
that is a very interesting coincidence. I didn't know that would be specifically advertised.
Yeah, apparently so. I've never heard of it before, but it was in the in-flight magazine.
I like how they made this tour so lopsided. Absolutely nobody had interest in calculating the weight of 10 million potatoes. Who would want to do that after racing for 10 episodes and be completely exhausted from running around a horse track all day? There's nobody who would have chosen 10 million potatoes over sorting through a tub of mussels.
See, here's the thing: if it would have, if we still had a non-elimination in play, I might have gone for the potatoes. But because I don't want to smell of mussels, because that looked an awful, awful task. Not just to do, but to watch.
Hmm.
If I knew it was going to be an elimination leg, though, you better go for the mussels
If
so
you
I can
weren't
get a
if
bit
you
of
weren't a
boss.
vegetarian, you would have quit seafood after that task.
Yeah, because it would have stunk, and it just looked like everyone had feces all over them. Oof, just not.
Mussels and feces is a glorious combination for Ryan and Rob.
Yeah, but
Um,
they're gonna have to wash all those mussels
do
with
you
Ryan
think?
and Rob
Do you
too.
actually? Oh man, that's what they're going to be doing for this whole pit stop sequester period. They're just going to be taking an 8 hour long shower until all of that grime and disgustingness finally washes off.
See, everyone chose the
I was
mussel
just
task
thinking something
because.
regarding the roadblock.
Go on,
Do you think
you go
that
first.
the woman at the roadblock that corrected Megan on the spelling of Tupper really overstepped her boundaries?
Yeah, come on, they're Olympians. I know they're heroes, but you need to, try and eliminate them, please. Can you imagine how awesome it would have been if they had
And
got
I
eliminated?
don't think anybody in 1864 would know how to spell a name.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious if they got eliminated. It would have been like the best thing ever. I would have been cheering.
They would It would have been like seven swans a swimming.
It really would. So yeah, everyone picked the muscle task, which was to process 1,800 kilos of mussels from socks to receive their next clue, and ignoring the mass task, which was to calculate the weight of a warehouse full of potatoes using maths to receive their next clue. Um, I must admit, it is nice to see both sides of a detour, even if everyone picks one. It's nice to see them all be explained. because America's been stepping back from this. Australia has been culpable of doing this. So it's nice to actually see, someone go, here's a detour explanation, even if we're not going to actually, show the other side anymore.
Right.
But that's a pleasant surprise for me.
I like that the local at the speed bump, he must have been one of the funniest locals I've seen. He seemed like half intoxicated, just trying to completely play up for the camera with all of his terrible jokes and telling Ryan and Rob that, oh, it's like digging for gold.
Yeah, I mean, I found out thanks to the official Facebook page that the people at the Moonshine Task were related or friends with at least the girl who played Anne of Green Gables.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently so. Apparently they all know each other on Facebook. I know PEI is a small place anyway, but still. Yeah, apparently they all know each other somehow.
What was with that Scottish music with Suki and Jinder at the detour?
I don't know. It's
I didn't know that PEI had that strong of a Scottish origin. Did they try to make it like a Scottish Isles theme? And when it's like, no, this is PEI. I don't even know if they have music there.
Yeah, they did that in Nova Scotia.
I thought it was just one silent province.
Yeah, they did that in Nova Scotia in the...
Nova Scotia is a bit more... But they have heavy Scottish origin and Scottish and Acadian origins, but PEI has... I mean, it's not really known for that per se.
Yeah.
So...
I think they were just...
I don't know what they were trying to do there.
I think
they were going to be... And Shuki and Jinder were supposed to be calm and collected.
Bless. I think with the second season, they sort of committed themselves to CTV to visit every other one. To every area of the country, so people would stop whining. But I don't think they'll be visiting PEI again.
It's like, oh, people want us to go to PEI?
Really?
Let's go to PEI just to prove why we will never ever visit there again.
Yeah, they. I do think we're going to get an all-international season next year, honestly. I don't think we'll be staying in Canada.
If they... It would be like when Amazing Race Asia took a step backwards and went from their super-duper international season with Season 2, after Season 1 where they stayed within a relatively confined area, but then for Season 3 they scaled it down to be a bit smaller, and then for Season 4 it was even smaller than Season 3.
Yeah, Season 4 was only 4 countries, wasn't it?
And then the show had to end because they weren't able to go back to being fully international yet. So I think with Amazing Race Canada, if they stuck around in Canada for 2/3 of a season again, I think it would just kill them.
The good news is that Alan Wu is coming back for the new Amazing Race China.
Why can't he just take over for Phil Kogan?
Because everyone knows that the Cowboys are going to do that as a joint thing when Phil eventually retires.
Yeah.
Just have the Cowboys be the host. Oh, that'd be awful.
We have a speed bump here, and the only color is yellow.
Yeah, it really is.
I think Suki being halfway submerged into the tub of mussels is one of the most inappropriate things I've probably seen as a visual on the Amazing Race Canada.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't.
There would have been so many awful ways to Photoshop the tub there.
And let me guess, you've already done a with them.
No, I haven't done. Yeah, but oh man, that I'm just thinking, wow, this is the most inappropriate piece of editing I've seen on Amazing Race Canada. The rating for this episode should jump to 18A immediately.
Well, I mean, last week we had...
I should actually tweet that to Suki.
This week we have had a lot She'll probably respond. She's been very active on the Amazing Race 24/7 group. So Suki and Jinder left
Yeah.
Muslim first, with Natalie and Megan very, very close behind. Mickey and Pete were in third. Ryan and Rob left in fourth, and Elaine and Audrey were right behind Ryan and Rob in fifth. And they must head to the pit stop for this leg of the race, which is the Farmers Bank of Rusticum, to go find our two rangers.
Do you think the Scottish people run the Farmers Bank, and then producers could have named it the Farmer Scotia Bank?
Almost certainly.
I like how teams were forced to clean the floors at the Muscle Dealer.
Yeah,
just having to scrounge around personally, muscles on the ground, knowing that elimination is right around the corner.
Yeah, they were really quite forceful with that, weren't they? There must not be a single muscle on the floor. I can see how many people could have messed that task up and had to go to the Spuds task.
Yeah. For some reason at the speed bump, I had a note saying that a local is licking his lips excessively. I don't know why I have that note there, but apparently there was somebody at the speed bump who was just really excessively licking their lips, and I wrote that down. Not as weird as in like a Jet McCoy fashion at the end of the third round in Amazing Race 16, but there's like a weird camera zoom in on somebody licking their lips.
I'm not sure whether it was for the manure or the moonshine.
Yeah.
Shit.
I'm sure that's a lovely comment. Ugh.
And for the first time this season, we get a Suki and Jinder crowning moment of awesome, and we see them try and mislead Natalie and Megan with directions to the pit stop, and Natalie and Megan were not happy.
This way. Yeah, don't read your map.
Oh, Suki and Jinder. I love you too much.
It's down. It's underneath the ground.
Yeah, you got to dig.
It's the ground. Hit the red soil, and you'll find Sean buried in the dirt.
And it was enough for Suki and Jinder to come in first again. Yes. And they won probably the lamest prize so far this season. A trip anywhere in Canada.
Yeah, I wouldn't call winning $5,000 to be lame.
Yeah, that was sort of the sweetener. I don't think they could have done a trip anywhere in Canada and $3,000 as they had been doing. Because that would have been a little bit.
Do you?
Well, I would have complained. When a trip to Milan one week and then in Canada another.
Maybe there's like a Milan in Ontario that they're really going to be visiting as opposed to Milan, Italy.
That would be the best prank ever with trips. You've won a trip to Milan, Ontario.
And you've also won a trip to London, Ontario.
You just won 12 trips to Ontario.
Do you think that Natalie and Megan have now jumped the shark in terms of how many unnecessary hockey analogies that make 0 sense are now incorporated into the episode?
Yeah.
This reference was
time, wasn't she?
Yeah, it was. They were on Suki and Jinder's tail on the way to the pit stop, and they said, "It's like we scored 1 goal. Now we need 1 more in overtime." What the hell does that mean?
We get it. You're a hockey player.
It makes 0 sense. I was staring at that quote for at least a few minutes, thinking. I wasn't even paying attention to the episode. I was just thinking,
what?
I don't understand what this means exactly. I do not know how that relates to ice hockey whatsoever.
As much as they are a seriously dull team, it is also quite entertaining to take the mick out of them.
Yeah. And the most annoying thing I think about Natalie and Megan is that because they have so many fans, any time that they say a team plays unfair, that means that team is automatically sentenced to be very unpopular. It's very much what Jet and Cord did to Dan and Jordan when they were beat in the Amazing Race 16. And we're seeing it again here with Natalie and Megan saying, "Oh, Suki and Jinder didn't play fair. We'll never play that way. What they did was fine, but we never do that. They suck. They should, get cow manure thrown into their face 20 times." Suki says she's brown, but now she'll see a new shade of brown with getting manure thrown at her face. And I'm gonna kick them in the shin. That's essentially what Natalie and Megan are saying on screen.
I mean, I know I mentioned this in week 7, I think it was, but the editors were really, really burying Suki and Jinder in the after the race special. I don't know why.
Yeah, but luckily
Editors seem to be trying to bury them.
that was really unfair to Suki and Jinder, I must say.
Yeah, it was.
It's like they're being their worse than Oscar Pistorius. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they didn't commit murder either.
You would think, according to Natalie and Megan, they did. Apparently, Suki committed murder to the hundreds of pounds of muscles that she took out with her head on the detour.
I'm just waiting for for Peter or someone to do a cut of that task with all the muscles screaming or something as they get pulled off. Just,
All the muscles, yeah.
So Nat Meg came in second, with Mickey and Pete coming in third, and Ryan and Rob coming in fourth, and sadly, Team Incomprehensible French Babble, who we've only mentioned about twice anyway this episode, Elaine and Ajay, came in last place. Do you think they actually did?
Yeah, I did. That's the only team I didn't tweet. That's the only team I didn't tweet this episode, because the only really amusing thing was Alan with the blindfold on going through those posts as we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
And then, we missed the best quote from Audrey Owen. She said, "We're crazy person."
Yes.
We are a crazy person.
Yeah, she assumed the title of Pierre.
And it was subtitled too.
It's like they wanted us to pick up on it.
That should have been the title of the episode, was "We're..."
Yeah, we're crazy person. So yeah, do you think
we go from "I said yes" to "we're crazy person"? And
do you think that Elaine and RJ actually did anything wrong? I think they were just a bit.
It looks like she's just screwed up with directions there, because we went from it was funny when they got lost. Elaine was driving, and then after they got lost, without any explanation whatsoever, Audrey is suddenly the one driving. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, well, she probably flipped out of some description. So next time.
And they went back between. It's funny because you can never really take their fighting too seriously.
No, I mean I know we've mentioned it before, but I do like the fact that they fight in French, or fight in sort of half French, half English.
Mhm. Yeah, it's as if
she starts swearing at
nobody will know Spain.
So next time we have New Brunswick finally, and we have what looks like quite a physical marine-themed leg with zip lines, rock climbing, and flags, and of course the predicted Dairy Queen task appears.
Yes. Tim Jr. has something to say about this episode. Did you know?
No, I don't actually go out of my way to follow them. Shocker.
He said survived their second non-elimination. He said, "Oh my God, Ryan and Rob survived their second non-elimination. It's never happened before."
What? Does he remember last season?
Yeah, it's never happened before. That's exactly, he said it again. He doesn't even remember saying it himself when he survived 2 eliminations in the first season and claimed it's never happened before.
Yeah.
Or Jim Tierney has zero memory whatsoever.
Well, as we know, his mother is the Amazing Race nerd in their family. She was the one who told Tim Senior to keep an eye out for the greasers, and she was the one who won the race for them, basically.
Yep, and I a major leak spoiler online, where everybody was claiming that Tim Jr.'s wife was the one who told everybody about the outcome of the season well before it started filming. Or well before it started airing, not but before it started filming. That would make her Nostradamus. Yeah, I didn't
So who do we
know
think
that the season was over, and I bragged about predicting that the Tims won the season. And then there's a crazy woman online saying, "Oh, you told us because Tim Jr.'s wife told everybody about the outcome because she even went to during the Saskatchewan leg. She even went there to see the Tims player. She went to one of the tasks anyway, just to see the Tims and told everybody what was going on, and then told them about the outcome. Just fine is that Tim Jr.'s wife just spilled the beans on everything.
I did not know about this, but that is awesome. Yeah,
I didn't know this until that person doing at me online.
The one reason why you would never, ever, ever do a season that's all in one season, on one country. The fact that people can just stalk them. So who do we think is going to be our final three? Who do we think is going to be our last elimination?
Well, just think there's that Richmond Olympic task, too.
Yeah, true.
All right. I think we're going to see Ryan and Rob finally bow out. I think we've seen them again and again just not finish anywhere near close the front of the pack. For some reason, they only do well when they're recovering from a non-elimination. For some reason, they kick it into high gear then, but then they just don't have the pressure to do well after that. All they need is another task that exploits one of their many weaknesses, and we'll probably see them lose out by a mile yet again.
Yeah, Ryan and Rob's last finish above 6th place was in the leg where Cormac and Nicole went out, which is pretty bad.
Wow. That's terrible.
I mean,
yeah, they had those 2 good rounds when they came back from Asia, and then now they've just completely fallen apart here.
I mean, from a Suki and Jinder fan standpoint, I would like Mickey and Pete to go purely because, if you look at the stats, if Suki and Jinder come in first the next leg and Mickey and Pete get eliminated, Suki and Jinder go top 3 for the season in average and in placement.
Right.
I just want Suki and Jinder to survive. I'll be disappointed if they don't.
It would be... Holy crap, if Suki and Jinder go next week, we may have the most boring final 3 possible on our hands. That didn't even occur to me till now.
Well, I think last season was pretty up there. Tim and Tim, who basically had no edit whatsoever. We had
Jody and Corey. Oh, God. Jody and Corey making it all the way to the end was painful.
And then Vanessa and Selena, who, boring.
Yeah, the only reason I'm trying to think of a combination of 3 worst teams that could be in the final 3 this season, and maybe if you switched out Mickey and Pete for Laura and Jackie in the final 3, I think that's the only way you can make it even more boring.
But at the same time, regardless,
unless there was a skateboarding task.
Yeah, the producers have given us Suki and Jinder, and that is all I can ask for. Regardless of the outcome. They will be back for All Stars. Sadly, so will Natalie and Megan, but, hopefully they'll go out first.
Let's just hope that Amazing Race Canada producers aren't even thinking about All Stars for at least 4 or 5 more seasons.
Yeah, well,
for some reason, somebody online was saying that season 4 will be presumed All Stars, but no, I don't think producers even want to do an All Stars until like season 6, 7, or 8 at the earliest.
As I've mentioned, they've got the rights for at least 6 seasons, I think it is. No movie though, so in theory it could be 5 seasons of Normos and then 1 season of All Stars.
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, the All-Star teams that would be picked would be so much better than the American All-Star teams so far. Because you'd get someone like Suki and Jinder. Sadly, you'd get
Right.
Natalie and Megan unless they win. You'd probably get Pierre and Michelle are a chance. Elena and Audrey, maybe as well. Cormac and Nicole, sadly, will probably come back. And then last season, obviously, Jet and Dave. Holly and Brett would be back. Body Break would have to come back if Holly and Brett were.
Yeah, that's it. But that's like having Charlotte and Mirna back without Colin and Christy getting an invite. I think Body Break would not come back though. I think they're just too angry with their F word being dropped on national television that they're probably forever angry with CTV.
Holly and Brett were on Our Hat last week, and I think they pretty much said that Holly and Joanna's still annoyed at them, which is hilarious.
Over a year later? Well over a year later. We're in September now. It's closer to a year and a half later, and they're still angry about that incident.
Yeah, this week, if we would have had the same schedule as last season, this season, we would have finished today. Or Tuesday.
I could have lived with that. I could have lived with just 5 teams racing for the end in PEI and having Suki and Jinder win the whole thing. And just say, hey, we finished the race in the most irrelevant place in all of Canada.
The best thing about Suki and Jinder potentially winning would be the fact that the face would go crazy.
Yeah, that's all I want. The most entertaining
casuals.
thing is when viewers hate the outcome. That's
The
why I never want to see a Jet and Cord win the Amazing Race. And why the hell am I referencing Jet and Cord 4 times in one podcast?
Because you're on their gravy train. Oh my gravy.
The gravy train.
You're on
Is that similar to the fresh shellfish train that was advertised? Episode.
Oh, I never ever wanted to see a task like that Muscles one again. It looked awful. Just everyone with like muscle crap all over the face.
Is that pretty much it for this episode? I really didn't have too many other notes. They're all pretty pointless. It's like my random James Bond reference. Yeah. So farewell to Alain and Andre.
I made more notes this week than I did past 2 weeks.
Like 2 minutes. Although you're in a public place.
Au revoir. Yeah, au revoir, shall we say.
Yeah.
If that is what Quebec
uses. Au revoir. I believe they do, yes. That's what I was taught in school.
For New Brunswick. Thank you very much for watching and listening. We'll be back next Wednesday at 7 a.m. PT for me to be horrendously tired. We're going to be so incomprehensible next week, aren't we? Both up at 7. And don't forget you can join Ben, Michelle and Eamon every Wednesday at 10 p.m. AEST, which is 5 a.m. PT or 1 p.m. BST, for their recap of the Amazing Race Australia versus New Zealand. See you next week.